The Untold Story of Germans in America, History of German Americans, to be precise. Let's react.
The United States of America is one of the world's most influential countries, an Anglo nation with an English-based culture and British heritage. Or is it? Most Americans today speak English as their first language, and their culture is fairly homogenous throughout the country when compared to other large nations, but it's no secret that Americans have a plethora of origins from outside the British Isles. But it would surprise many to learn that according to the census data released by the United States government on ethnic self-identification, the largest heritage in the country would actually be from the nation of Germany,
Oh,
not
seriously?
England, which is the basis of this video. Maps
Man, for real? Or is he lying to us? This is the question.
are usually a pretty good way to picture these sorts of things, and thankfully there are a litany of maps on the ethnic origins of the people of the United States, and as you can see in all of them, Germans seemingly dominate in terms of area they take up, but the real situation is much more complicated and interesting than these maps would suggest, because not only are most of these areas themselves extremely ethnically heterogeneous, but unlike Europe and most of the rest of the world, there are only a minority of people in the United States that are entirely of one ethnicity, with most Americans being able to trace ancestry to many different nations.
Let's guess how much Germans there are in America. I bet at least with the German heritage, I would say around, let's say 30, 40 million people, maybe even 100, let's go 100 million with that has somebody in their heritage from Germany. But overall, I think straight German heritage, I would say 40 million. What's your opinion? Leave it in comment section.
Because of these nuances, there's still debate as to whether the largest ancestral chunk of the US comes from Germany or England, and in the last US census, around 46 million people declared full or partial German ancestry, with an additional 2 million when including other German-speaking peoples, such as Austrians or Swiss, accounting for about 15% of America's population.
What? 15% Austrians and Swiss? Imagine that. I wonder when did they came? Like probably it was not in 1800s.
And in the same census, only 26 million people claimed English ancestry, which was only 8% of the population. However,
Seriously?
since 1990, the United States Census has allowed its citizens to identify ethnically as American, and we're not talking about natives here. This is a very complex topic, so I'll save it for a future video, but the majority of those that identify as American, rather than a European ethnic group, are overwhelmingly of British stock, and they numbered around 21 million people, which would bring up the total number of
German Americans, 48 million people. I was almost there, guys. Wow.
Americans
I need to
with
play a
English
lottery today.
ancestry to almost equal with the Germans, and indeed before
This is
the
crazy.
1990 census, when American was given as an option for ethnicity, those that self-identified as English were the largest group in the United States. So in all likelihood, even though there are more Americans with at least some English ancestry, there are more people of pure German ancestry than pure English ancestry. But how did this come to be the case?
Okay, let's guess. Let's guess another guess before I we hear what he says. Let me know in the comment section what do you think, why it is, and don't check the information. Okay, don't check the information. Just I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Because I think that before the World War II and maybe during the World War One, World War Two, the crisis when you had crazy high inflation, the Weimar Republic. During that time and after the World War II, there was a mass exodus to United States. This is what I think.
Even though the United States was founded by Englishmen and they did dominate early on in the country, they did allow immigration from other regions of Europe, with there being a moderate wave of Germans entering the colonies in the late 1600s, mostly settling in the state of Pennsylvania, which had the first major German settlement in North America, that being Germantown in Philadelphia. One of the most famous cases of a large group of Germans settling in America were the Hessian soldiers, recruited from the Landgrafschaft of Hesse-Kassel in the Holy Roman Empire, and they fought for the British during the American Revolutionary War until their defeat by George Washington after.
It goes deep. Wow, I would never guess the Germans took a part of like the war for independence in America. Man, guys, how were you able to do it? Tell me, please, the secret.
After his crossing of the Delaware River, and at least 3,000 of the captured Hessians ended up settling in Pennsylvania. By the year 1790, which was the first census year for the United States since independence, Germans made up around 7% of the population of the states and up to 1/3 of the state of Pennsylvania, and many villages and towns in western Pennsylvania retained their German heritage by teaching the German language to their youth and building Lutheran churches. Now, you also have the Pennsylvania Dutch, a subgroup of German Americans in eastern Pennsylvania, and their exonym is a bit of a misnomer, saying how they're not actually descended from the Dutch at all, but from German immigrants from Rhineland-Palatine who formed their own identity north of Philadelphia, a region known as Pennsylvania Dutch Country or Deutschamerikaner. Another notable German group
This dude is dropping some knowledge bombs. Wow.
in Pennsylvania would be the Amish, and although many Amish might identify as Pennsylvania Dutch and vice versa, the two terms are not interchangeable, with the Amish having a very distinct religious practice, along with other cultural traditions such as the rejection of mainstream technology and isolation from American culture, which is where you'll find some of the last remaining monolingual German speakers in the United States. The Amish are essentially a snapshot of 19th century German American society, seeing how they have the highest birth rate of nearly any group in the country, around 7 children per woman, which
This is crazy, man. This woman is like a Terminator. 7 children. Imagine that. She's like throwing them out like a conveyor. Literally, this dude is like a how to I don't know what words to find to describe this dude. He's a machine. Just 7 kids. Imagine that. Wow. Yeah. Well, that's. I don't have any words,
is
man.
on par with the African country of Niger, and are the only group in the United States that are exempt from Social Security tax, saying how their traditional family roles call for taking care of their own elderly. Now, I really like this map of American ancestry because it shows how connected most Americans are, with many Pennsylvanians migrating west to the Midwest during the period of American expansionism. As more Americans moved west from the original colonies, they were joined later on by immigrants from Europe, and the largest phase of German migration to America also occurred during this time, with migration skyrocketing after the 1840s, mostly settling in the Midwest states west of Pennsylvania, such as Ohio, Michigan, Illinois, and Wisconsin, and they mostly either founded their own towns or integrated with already existing German settlements. German immigrants and American-born Germans were also joined by Austrian immigrants from the Austrian Empire, who settled in pretty much the same area, as well as the Swiss, who mostly went to Utah. And when comparing the climates of Utah and Switzerland, it actually makes a lot of sense.
Well, back in the day, those were just a land of opportunities. Listen, those Germans were just bold-headed, to go to another land. It's not. It's basically not explored. And nobody knows what is happening there. There's danger over there.
In the 1800s, ethnic Germans might or might not have assimilated with Anglo-American settlements in the same region, with many opting instead to integrate with other Germanic groups, especially the Dutch, Norwegians, and other Scandinavians. During this period, German culture and language was abound around the Great Lakes region, with German being the largest minority language in the country for over 100 years, spreading out even further to the Plains region to the west, especially the Dakotas, Nebraska, and Iowa. However, after the start of World War I in 1970, German culture and language was highly oppressed in all areas of the country, with many German Americans being accused of treason or spying for simply speaking German in public. This caused the sharp decline.
And Japanese also. Japanese were sent to concentration camps. That's what happened.
Immigration from Germany, and the movement to phase out the teaching of German in all public schools in the Midwest, with the area instead becoming one of the hubs of mainstream American culture, which is why the Midwest today is seen by many as representing the average American or middle America. The process of learning English and adopting American cultural values is known as Americanization, and aside from a handful of communities in the Plains region and Deutschamerikaner, pretty much all German traditions and culture disappeared. German culture in America took an even further hit after World War II, and by this time, almost all of the German settlements in the Midwest and the Great Plains had been fully Americanized. However, their heritage has been acknowledged and passed down throughout the generations, even if most German surnames have been Anglicanized, such as Eisenhower, Schmidt, Gutmann, Fischer, and many others.
Just a quick note for people who didn't know, and for people who know that for like one of the like general directors of NASA was former Nazi Warner Firm Brown. Yeah, and he was German. He was German, and it's not literally it's not a surprise that a lot of German settlements are around the world. There was a lot of Germans in Russia back in the day, before World War II, during the Empire of Russia. Yeah, there was after the World War II. There was also settlements in Argentina where a lot of Nazis went, and there's still like people living there who with German heritage.
Today, there are no U.S. states that have any ethnic majority, meaning that in every single state, no group makes up over 50%. And this is true for Germans as well, though some states do come pretty close, such as North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, and Wisconsin, where Germans make up over 40% of the population, which makes them the most ethnically homogenous states
That's
in
impressive.
all of America, although they themselves are still extremely ethnically diverse when compared to any European country. When mapping out the largest European ethnicity by state, it's easy to see just how much Germans dominate in the north and west of the country, with there being 23 states with the German plurality, 17 that are English, almost all in the south and in New England, 3 are Irish, all in the northeast, 3 are Italian, the 3 states around the New York City metropolitan area, 3 are Spanish, all in the southwest,
Yeah.
and 1 is French, that being Louisiana.
Listen, there's gonna be football World Cup in USA, and guess which team will have the like best support in USA, and I have a feeling that it won't be USA.
The German concentration in the United States is fairly contiguous, except for 2 main exceptions. That being central Texas and southern Florida, with the highest concentration spanning the northern half of the country in an area known as the German Belt, stretching from Pennsylvania all the way to California, and the area of lowest concentration would be in the deep south, with the state with the lowest percentage of Germans being Mississippi. Germans had been moving to Texas since before Texas was even a part of the U.S., or had declared independence from Mexico, with it also being of note that Germans also settled in areas of modern northern Mexico, and today Germans in central Texas have their own unique culture forged from its proximity to Mexico and the southern United States.
I'm shocked. I'm really shocked. This content is like what? Mexicans in Texas? Like Mexicans in Texas? Germans in Texas? You kidding me? Last people who I would guess I would meet in Texas are Germans. For real, Germans? And yeah, Germans, man. Wow.
It's also important to note that because of the proximity and high degree of integration between Canada and the United States, the North American German Belt doesn't terminate at the 49th parallel that divides the two countries, with Germans being the largest ethnic group in the province of Saskatchewan, as well as many other areas of the Canadian prairies such as Alberta and Manitoba. The German-Canadian community is much smaller than the American one and has a much less extensive history, with most Germans in the prairie regions coming from the Russian Empire directly before World War I, or from American immigrants of German descent from the Midwest and Plains region, seeing how the border was far more porous during the pioneer era. The German Belt today is an extremely diverse region of North America, having minorities of ethnic Scandinavians, English, many Slavic groups, along with countless Native American tribes. And although the region today is undoubtedly the whitest area in the country, it also has the largest proportion of Native Americans in the continental U.S.
By the way, a lot of Latvians during the World War II and other like cataclysms that were happening all over the place, because we are a small country, went to USA. There's a lot of Latvians over there.
German belt
In
actually
England
spans
also.
an area of 1.5 million square miles, 11 times larger than the country of Germany itself, and the German population of North America is about 2/3 the size of the German population of Europe. Although, as mentioned earlier, an indeterminate proportion of self-identified German Americans whose families have been in the country for generations may have ancestry from many other groups such as English, Irish, Swedish, or even Native Americans because of the relatively large numbers of natives that lived around German settlements during the pioneer era. Here's an unofficial flag for German Americans that I designed myself since my father's father is of Pennsylvania Dutch descent. I replaced the red and
What do you think about this flag, guys? Let me know in the comment section. I'm really curious. Do I like it? Kinda. It's okay. I don't hate it for sure, but I don't love it. So it's kind of good. Kind of good. I love the original German flag. So yeah.
white stripes with the modern colors of the German flag, along with adding the insignia for the German coat of arms with the 23 stars representing the 23 states where Germans are the largest European ethnic group. Although German culture and language is no longer very relevant in mainstream American society,
That flag reminded me one flag from in African countries. There's a country, I forgot the name of it. There's a peacock on the flag, and I think they have very similar stripes like this flag have. If you know the name, what I'm talking about, let me know in comment section.
European ethnic group. Although German culture and language is no longer very relevant in mainstream American society, the heritage and spirit of those original German pioneers still lives on in many Americans to this day. And whether their ancestors were farmers, miners, or even soldiers that initially came to this country to fight against us, their legacy and impact on American identity is one of the most extensive of any group in the world. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on German Americans and German American history. Und immer danke fürs Zuschauen. Das war Mason und auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen. All right, that was the history. That was the history. Guys, if you have any other videos about Germany that you want me to react on, let me know in comment section, please. Okay? And talking about this video, that was amazing. Now, like, I became smarter. I literally became smarter. Now I know that a lot of settlements, there is a lot of settlements around the world with Germans. Germans, they are the OGs, you know, not trying to like kiss your butt, you know, but the OGs, the facts talk, you know. You went to America when nobody knew what was happening there, you know, the America was not explored. You took it over. No, not took it over. You took a part of it for sure. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell for notification. Bye.